Focus on yourself and improve your life. Too many people live every single day looking left and right, watching what somebody else is doing, comparing, competing, gossiping, scrolling through other people's highlight reels, and wondering why their own life isn't moving forward. The truth is, you cannot water everybody else's garden and expect your own to grow. The real secret is simple. The moment you stop living for outside approval and start living for your own growth, you set yourself free to reach a new level of success. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that is one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in my own journey. And it's something that a lot of people never understand because they're too busy looking around at what everybody else is doing. You cannot build your best life by living in constant comparison. Every time you scroll through somebody else's highlight reel on social media, every time you sit around gossiping about who's doing what, every time you measure your worth against somebody else's success, you are stealing precious time and energy away from your own growth. That's why I say focus on yourself. Put that energy back where it belongs, on your lane, your dream, your grind, your calling. Because your life has a purpose. And if you spend all your time looking at what other people are doing, you'll miss what God has prepared just for you. See, one of the biggest traps people fall into is the race of comparison. You're looking at somebody else's car, somebody else's house, somebody else's career, somebody else's body, and you start feeling like you're behind. But let me tell you, you can't be behind in a race that was never yours to run in the first place. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their blessings are not your blessings. Their story is not your story. The moment you realize that, you set yourself free from a prison that has kept so many people miserable. When you stop chasing what's not yours, you finally give yourself the freedom to pursue what is. Now, here's the truth. Focusing on yourself is not just about ignoring distractions. It's about discovering your own value. If you spend your life chasing validation from the outside, you will always feel empty inside because approval is like a drug. The more you get, the more you crave. And the minute it's not there, you feel lost. But when you learn to validate yourself, when you start clapping for yourself, even when nobody else is cheering, that's when you develop real confidence. And confidence is what allows you to step into opportunities with boldness. That confidence doesn't come from comparison. It comes from focus. Focus on what you're good at. Focus on what makes you unique. Focus on the gifts God placed in your hand. I'll give an example. Think about a flower in the garden. A rose doesn't look over at the tulip and say, man, I wish I had petals like that. A sunflower doesn't stare at the daisy and complain about its shape. No, each flower grows in its own time, in its own way, with its own beauty. And guess what? The garden is beautiful because each flower embraced what it was created to be. That's exactly how your life works. Stop trying to copy. Stop trying to imitate. Stop trying to measure up to somebody else's highlight reel. Grow in your own lane because the world needs the real you, not a cheap imitation of somebody else. And let me tell you this. When you focus on yourself, you start noticing progress. You begin to see little wins stacking up. Maybe you read one new book. Maybe you save a little money. Maybe you exercise consistently. Maybe you build one new habit. Those small victories may not look like much compared to somebody else's big breakthrough, but they matter. They're the seeds of your future. And when you water your own seeds instead of staring at someone else's harvest, you start reaping blessings you never thought were possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice is simple. You can spend your life watching other people live theirs, or you can spend your life building your own. Every moment you waste comparing is a moment you could have invested in creating, learning, growing, or healing. Your focus is your power, and the moment you put it back on yourself, your life starts to shift in ways you can't even imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to change your life, you have to learn the power of discipline. Improvement doesn't just fall into your lap. Success doesn't knock on your door while you're sitting on the couch hoping things will magically work out. Life rewards effort. It rewards structure. It rewards consistency. And most of all, it rewards people who respect their time. Every single one of us gets the same 24 hours in a day, but it's how we use those hours that separates the people who make progress from the people who stay stuck. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over, wasting time, and expect your life to change. You have to develop habits that move you closer to your goals and cut out the habits that are pulling you further away. See about this, most people wake up with no plan. They grab their phone, scroll for an hour, rush through their morning, go to work complaining, come home drained, and repeat the cycle every day. Then they wonder why nothing changes. Let me tell you, if you don't respect your time, life won't respect your potential. Every minute you waste is a minute you could have invested in your future. I'm not saying you can't rest or enjoy yourself, but I'm saying you got to be intentional. Discipline means you take control of your day instead of letting your day control you. Discipline means you wake up with a purpose. You set goals and you stick to them, no matter what distractions come your way. When you look at successful people, it's not luck that got them there, it's discipline. Athletes train daily when nobody's watching. Entrepreneurs grind in silence long before they shine in public. Writers, musicians, leaders, anyone who's ever made something of themselves understands that discipline is the price you pay for improvement. You can't cheat your way to success. You can't cut corners. And you can't blame others for your lack of progress if you refuse to build the discipline to manage your own life. Here's what discipline looks like in action. It's waking up early even when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to unhealthy choices because you've got bigger goals in mind. It's choosing to read a book instead of wasting hours on meaningless scrolling. It's saving money instead of spending it all on things that don't add value. It's practicing your craft, studying your skills, and preparing for opportunities even when they haven't shown up yet. Discipline is not glamorous, but it builds the foundation for the life you want. Now, I know some people say, Steve, it's hard to stay disciplined. Of course it's hard, but let me ask you this. Isn't it also hard to stay broke? Isn't it hard to keep living paycheck to paycheck? Isn't it hard to stay in a body you're not comfortable in? Isn't it hard to keep watching other people live the life you want while you sit back doing nothing? Life is going to be hard either way. The question is, do you want the hard that comes from discipline and growth, or the hard that comes from regret and wasted time? Because regret is the heaviest burden a person can carry, and you can avoid it by doing what's necessary today. Ladies and gentlemen, every day you have a choice. You can waste your hours or you can invest them. You can drift or you can drive. Discipline is the difference. When you start treating your time like the treasure it is, when you build habits that strengthen you instead of weaken you, your whole life will begin to shift. It doesn't happen overnight, but over time, those small acts of discipline stack up. And one day you'll look back and realize you built a life that people call success. But it won't be luck. It'll be the result of discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. People often get twisted. Focusing on yourself does not mean you are selfish. It does not mean you don't care about others. It doesn't mean you're cold or ungrateful. It simply means you understand that you cannot pour into anybody else if your own cup is empty. See, people think strength is about always being there for others, always giving, always sacrificing. But the truth is, you cannot give what you do not have. If you want to be a better parent, a better spouse, a better friend, a better leader, you have to start by becoming a better version of yourself. That's not selfish, that's smart. Think about this. When you get on an airplane, Before the flight takes off, the flight attendant tells you, in case of emergency, put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. Now, why do they say that? Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you can't save anybody else. That's the same principle in life. If you're drained, if you're broken, if you've given up on yourself, how are you going to lift somebody else up? How are you going to teach your kids to chase their dreams if you stop chasing yours? How are you going to encourage your friends to believe in themselves if you don't even believe in you? Focusing on yourself is not neglect, it's preparation. It's building yourself up so you can show up stronger for the people who need you. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They think self-focus means self-indulgence. They confuse it with being selfish, like only caring about money or success or showing off. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about building your character, strengthening your mindset, protecting your peace, and investing in your growth. I'm talking about doing the hard work on yourself so you can stand tall in the face of storm. Because let me tell you something, life is going to test you. It's going to throw challenges at you. If you are weak on the inside, you will crumble. But if you've been focusing on yourself, reading, learning, praying, exercising, surrounding yourself with positive energy, then when life hits, you'll bend, but you won't break. And the truth is, people around you benefit when you work on yourself. Your kids benefit when they see you disciplined and determined. Your partner benefits when you're confident and secure instead of insecure and fearful. Your friends benefit when your energy is uplifted instead of draining. Your coworkers benefit when you show up prepared instead of distracted. Everybody around you feels the effect of your growth. That's why I say focusing on yourself is not just for you. It's for everybody connected to you. You being at your best creates a ripple effect that lifts others higher. But here's the catch. You've got to give yourself permission. Too many people feel guilty about taking time to improve themselves. They think they don't have the right to rest, to learn, to chase a dream, to set boundaries. They think if they say no to somebody, they're letting them down. But the truth is, every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are saying no to your own growth. And if you keep saying no to yourself, eventually you'll run out of the strength to help anyone else. You have to stop feeling guilty about working on you, because when you get better, everybody connected to you gets better too. Ladies and gentlemen, don't confuse focusing on yourself with being selfish. They are two very different things. Selfishness takes from others to serve itself. Self-focus strengthens yourself so you can serve others better. And I promise you this, when you start taking care of your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health, you will discover that you've got more love to give, more strength to share, and more impact to make. And that is how you not only improve your own life, you elevate everyone around you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be real with you right now. One of the hardest but most important lessons you will ever learn in life is this: you cannot take everybody with you. Some of the people you call friends, some of the people you keep in your circle, some of the people you bend over backward for are the very ones holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself. See, you can't grow if you're always dragging around dead weight. You can't move into your future if you're constantly tied down by the wrong voices, the wrong attitudes, and the wrong energy. If you really want to improve your life, you got to learn how to cut off what's toxic. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Some people don't want to see you win. Some people clap when you fail. They laugh at your dreams. They tell you to be realistic because they don't have the courage to chase their own. And yet you keep letting them into your space. You keep giving them access to your mind, your time, your energy. But let me ask you something. How do you expect to rise when you're surrounded by people who are comfortable crawling? How do you expect to dream big when you're surrounded by people who are satisfied with being small? The company you keep shapes the quality of your life. And if you're serious about improving, you've got to stop entertaining people who drain you. See, the problem is too many of us confuse history with destiny. Just because someone started with you doesn't mean they're supposed to finish with you. Some friends are seasonal, some relationships are temporary, and some people are only meant to be lessons. The mistake we make is trying to drag everyone into every chapter of our life. But the truth is, some characters are not written into the next chapter of your story. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you love yourself enough to protect your peace. Let me tell you something about toxic people. They don't always show up as enemies. Sometimes they smile in your face, call themselves your friend, maybe even share your last name. But pay attention to how they make you feel. If every time you share your dream, they shoot it down, that's toxic. If every time you celebrate a win, they find a way to make you feel small, that's toxic. If being around them drains your energy, lowers your spirit, or makes you doubt yourself, that's toxic. And if you're serious about improving your life, you cannot afford to keep entertaining that kind of energy. And here's the truth. Cutting people off is not easy. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. You'll feel guilty. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if you're being too harsh. But let me tell you, the pain of letting go is temporary, while the pain of staying stuck is permanent. Every day you spend tied to the wrong people is a day you could have spent building with the right people. Every time you lower your standards to keep somebody in your life, you block the blessing of someone who was supposed to help you rise. Sometimes you have to make room for new relationships, new mentors, new opportunities, and that only happens when you have the courage to release what no longer serves you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to guard your circle like your life depends on it, because it does. Your peace, your growth, your future all depend on the energy you allow around you. Don't let loyalty to the wrong people rob you of your destiny. Don't let fear of being alone keep you surrounded by the wrong crowd. I'd rather walk alone in peace than walk with a crowd in chaos. And when you start protecting your space, when you cut off what's toxic, you'll finally have room to breathe, to grow, and to rise into the life you were created to live. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most powerful tools you will ever have to improve your life is gratitude. See, a lot of people think success starts with money, connections, or luck. But I'm telling you, success starts with your mindset, and the foundation of that mindset is gratitude. Gratitude changes how you see your world. Gratitude allows you to shift your focus from what's missing to what's present, from what's broken to what's still working, from what's gone wrong to what's still going right. Too many people walk around every day complaining, comparing, and criticizing, and then they wonder why nothing changes in their life. Let me tell you something. If all you do is complain, you're training your mind to see problems. But when you start practicing gratitude, you're training your mind to see possibilities. Now, here's what I know. Life isn't always easy. There are storms, setbacks, and struggles. But gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding the blessing even in the middle of the storm. Maybe you don't have the job you want, but you got a skill that can open doors. Maybe your bank account is low, but you still got a roof over your head. Maybe you've been through heartbreak, but you still got breath in your body and another chance to start again. Gratitude doesn't ignore the pain, but it reminds you that the pain is not the whole story. Gratitude is fuel. It keeps you moving forward when life tries to hold you back. And let me tell you something else. Gratitude and faith work hand in hand. Gratitude is about appreciating where you are, and faith is about believing in where you're going. Gratitude says, I may not be where I want to be, But thank God I'm not where I used to be. Faith says I'm on my way to something greater, and I trust that it's coming. When you put those two together, your life becomes unstoppable. Gratitude keeps you grounded, faith keeps you moving, and together they create a mindset that attracts blessings. See, here's the danger. If you only focus on what you don't have, you'll never see the opportunities that are already in front of you. Some people are so busy chasing more that they miss the miracle of now. They overlook the small wins, the little breaks, the everyday blessings that are preparing them for bigger things. But when you slow down and give thanks, you realize you already have more than enough to get started. And once you start with gratitude, faith gives you the courage to keep building, to keep reaching, to keep believing that the best is still ahead. I've seen it over and over again. People who complain never move forward. But people who are grateful always find a way to rise. Because gratitude attracts more to be grateful for. It shifts your energy, it changes your perspective, and it puts you in alignment with abundance. When you wake up every morning and say, thank you for another day, you're already starting ahead. When you look at challenges and say, this may hurt, but it's teaching me something, you're already grown. When you trust that the setback is just a setup for a comeback, you're already living in faith. Ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to improve your life, start with gratitude and faith. Stop worrying about what you don't have and start celebrating what you do. Stop doubting your future and start trusting that greater things are on the way. Gratitude makes you humble. Faith makes you bold. Gratitude gives you peace. Faith gives you power. And when you combine them, you become a force that nothing in this world can stop. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is one thing I want you to remember about focusing on yourself and improving your life, it's this. You've got to commit. Not sometimes, not when it's easy, not when it feels good. You've got to commit every single day. See, too many people live their lives in bursts. They get excited for a week, motivated for a month, then fall back into old habits. They start strong but never finish. And let me tell you something, your life will never change if you only give effort when it's convenient. Success, growth, and transformation don't happen overnight. They happen because of consistency. It's what you do daily that defines where you end up, not what you do occasionally. Think about it. You don't get in shape by going to the gym one time. You don't build wealth by saving money once. You don't grow wise by reading a single book. No, these things happen through repetition, through daily effort, through small steps that compound over time. Improvement is not about massive leaps. It's about steady climbs. Every single day you wake up, you have the opportunity to get just a little bit better. Maybe it's learning one new thing. Maybe it's choosing one healthier meal. Maybe it's practicing your craft for one more hour. Those small acts of commitment might not feel like much in the moment, but they are stacking up to create the life you've been dreaming of. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're saying, Steve, I've tried before and I failed. And I get it. Failure hurts. But let me ask you something. Did you fail or did you just quit too soon? Because failure is not final until you stop trying. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can count. The difference is they stayed committed. They got back up when life knocked them down. They kept showing up when nobody believed in them. They stayed disciplined when they had every excuse not to. That's commitment. And if you can develop that same resilience, there's nothing you can't achieve. Commitment also means holding yourself accountable. Don't just talk about what you're going to do it. Don't just post about your goals on social media, work on them in real life. Don't just dream about success, prepare for it. Too many people want the reward without the responsibility. They want the glory without the grind. But commitment is the bridge between wanting and having. It's what separates the people who wish from the people who win. And let me tell you something else. Commitment doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. But trust me, something is happening. Every time you choose to show up, every time you push through the temptation to quit, every time you take one more step when you feel like stopping, you are building strength. You are proving to yourself that you can be trusted with your own dream. And that trust is what builds confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, improving your life is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You don't have to be the best all at once. You just have to be better than you were yesterday. And if you can make that commitment, if you can wake up each day and say, today I will focus on myself. Today I will grow. Today I will move one step closer to my vision. Your life will transform. Maybe not in a week, maybe not in a month, but give it a year, give it 5 years, and you look back and realize that your commitment created a life beyond anything you ever imagined.